Today we have a very special review. We are taking a look at the original 1999 Mos Espa Podrace 7171 with a bunch of minifigures, really cool builds, and a fantastic box. Let's get into it. Piece count is 894 with ages 8 to 12 with 10-ish minifigures. We'll talk about those guys later. 3 amazing Podracer builds for the time and a massive box. We'll get into that right now. This box is huge. It's absurd for 894 pieces. But let's take a look at the front art. We can see the 3 Podracers on a bend, passing the spectators and the pit droids. Really cool, like we're in the canyon, which is really neat. Down here, we see the name of the set, and you also see what comes in the set, and 14 inches long for the Podracer. That's crazy. We have the set number, Lego system, Lego Star Wars. We turn the box around. We can see a little bit back here. We see Sebulba and his pit droid working on his Podracer. We have Gascano and his pit droid working on his Podracer. And then we look at Anakin's Podracer. We see everyone working on Anakin's Podracer. Down below, we see some side builds, or not side builds, alternate builds. Really cool alternate builds. It looks like every character gets their own little ship, and then we even see Sebulba's mech suit, which was, my favorite part of the Phantom Menace. We have some more set images on the side of the box, and along with Anakin's crew. And on the other side, we see some images of Sebulba and Gascano. Now, this box is very unique for a lot of reasons. When we lift open the front, it will reveal 3 separate boxes for each Podracer. That has never been done before, to my knowledge, I don't think it was ever done again besides like when you get a big UCS box. This is like on a whole nother level. Like they printed art on these boxes. Like we have a separate box for Gascano's Podracer. And this is like an actual Lego set box, with the push tabs and everything. We have Anakin's Podracer, which is basically the exact same as the single-owned set. And then we have the biggest one being Sebulba's. This thing's huge and also had push tabs. What a shame they were even doing them back then. And then we are revealed to the instructions, which are pretty big. And we have a little Lego Club Part 36. And then we even have some sort of shop at home catalog. Very cool. I'm now noticing that each box has 2 2x4 bricks on the bottom of them. Like we have Sebulba's has green ones, Anakin's has red ones, and then Gascano has yellow ones. Not sure what the deal with that is, but I don't know, it's just something weird I noticed. Let's quickly talk about the instructions. In the back of the instructions, we will find a comic to almost build along. Like after we get done building Sebulba's Podracer, we will be treated to a comic where the Podrace starts off, and then Qui-Gon Jinn's just like, oh no bro, there's a tornado coming. They look like, what? And then the Podracers get sucked up, and then in the tornado, they start building their own ships and side builds. We can see here, and it gives us a few images to go off of to rebuild them. R2 and Qui-Gon, they whip up their own vehicle, yada yada. Anakin gets thrown off into like, they have no idea where he is, and then he comes out on his own little snowmobile thing. We see some images of these alternate builds. I thought that was so cool how like they used to do these old comics, and I kind of wish we had them today because they add so much to the playability and the imagination to these sets. Like I would love to do a stream where I try to just recreate all these alternate builds, because I don't know, that sounds cool to me. Minifigures. There's a lot of them, so let's get into it. First up, we have the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker when he was a boy. This figure appeared in 2 other sets, Anakin's Podracer and the Star Wars Podracing bucket set. Pretty, little printing, torso printing, face printing. We have that little boy look with the freckles. He has little eyebrows. He got a little helmet. A similar looking version figure also appeared in the original Naboo Starfighter set. The only difference was the helmet and goggles. Otherwise, the figure's the exact same. Next up, we have young Padme Amidala. She appeared in one other set, being Anakin's Podracer. And yeah, she has a really cool hair piece, face print, torso print. Yeah, looks like Padme from Phantom Menace. Good job. We also get a Qui-Gon Jinn in the set. Now, this figure is the same as the other ones in the 4 other sets he also appeared in. For some reason, he doesn't come with a green lightsaber at all, which is odd in the set. I know he didn't really use it in the scene, but it just seems, I don't know, like they really could have thrown it in there. I mean, 2 extra pieces wouldn't have been that hard Lego. One thing to mention, that cape is just, I can't help but say that cape is so crispy. Holy moly, this was a pre-owned cape. The only fraying I'm seeing is 2 little nudges right there. That's it. That's incredible. And here we have Jar Jar Binks, really cool head mold for the time, great torso printing, tan arms and tan hands is pretty cool for the time. Back in 99, I'm sure that wasn't super common, but this figure appeared in 4 other sets as long as this one. And yeah, it's Jar Jar Binks. We also get a R2-D2, which appeared in like 1,000 sets, so woo! Here are the pit droids. From left to right, we have Anakins. In the middle, we have Gascanos. And then on the right, we have Sebulbas. They're all the same build with different color pieces. And I mean, they're considered minifigures on Bricklink, but at the end of the day, these are just parts. But at the same time, they're minifigures, so it's really, I don't know. What do you guys think? Here we have Gascano. Now, this is also a really tricky minifigure because it has a minifigure helmet and head, but the body is a chainsaw. And the arms are droid arms, so it's really hard to say if this is a minifigure. I classify it as a minifigure personally, but yeah, a very interesting figure for the time, very unique. The head also looks great for custom Kaminoans, as you can see. I mean, I think that looks pretty good, and people have been doing this since this figure has really appeared. I like the figure. It's super unique, and it's actually pretty rare because it only appeared in this one set. And the last figure we'll be taking a look at today is the Sebulba piece. Now, this is just, I would not consider this a figure, although it is technically a figurine. It's definitely not no minifigure because it's just one single piece. It has 2 stud connections on the bottom of the feet, and his hand does clip onto bar pieces, but other than that, this just looks like a Monopoly game Sebulba. I think it looks really good, but I much prefer the newer Sebulba than this figure. First up, we have Anakin's Podracer, which is basically the exact same set as the standalone Anakin's Podracer from 99. There's not too much, I mean, to look at here, besides that it's Anakin's Podracer. I think they did a great job on the engines, and I like how they came up with how to connect the engines to the actual pod using these tan pieces. On Tatooine, it's tan, so it would blend in, and that just makes sense, and I think it's pretty smart on their part. But we do have some flex tube connecting the pod to the engines, and then towards the center, I don't remember what this is called, but the power, although it's inaccurate in the movies, it was, I believe, purple. Lego decided to go with neon orange cannons for whatever reason. Interesting design choice. Each of the engines have hinges for the yellow bits so they can fold open as if they're like really, going, zooming, which is pretty neat. I like the engine's build. There's some pretty cool build techniques where they use these wheels that have pinholes in them, and to change the direction of the studs, they just put 2 together back to back, so then they have studs coming out this way so they can build this engine here. But other than that, I mean, Anakin, he fits in there. He has his little own seat. He has his little joysticks. He has some pretty cool printed elements here, like that they reused this car door to get a certain angle on there, which I think is neat. And that 2x3 printed slope is pretty cool as well. So yeah, I like this build. I think it still holds up. We also have Anakin's colors represented in this flag side build as well. Here we have Gascano's Podracer. This is the only Gascano's Podracer to my knowledge. Maybe they did like a random advent calendar build, but probably not because of how obscure this Podracer is. I'm surprised it's even in the set to begin with because of how little screen time it actually got. But we see it has very unique engine build styles on the sides. This folds open to reveal a chainsaw, so we know Gascano doesn't necessarily play fair. These engines are built really cool. They use these old hinge plates to get that shape where they fold inward, and I think that's pretty neat, along with some really cool snot techniques. And the engines kind of just pop off fairly easy, so we can take a little closer look. But if we rip this off, we can see that it's mainly just a snot core with a few bricks and a few brackets, and then you just slap it all together. This Podracer has a very unique color scheme. We have green, purple, and orange. Very unique. I can't think of any other Star Wars ship in the universe that has this color scheme. So on the shelf, it really stands out compared to all the normal, gray and black ships of Star Wars. Again, we do see, the support, the tan support beam to connect the pod and the engines, and then in the middle we have the little energy beams that keeps it all together. The engines are exactly the same, just mirrored. We look at the pod, we have Gascano. He connects to his little, not control panel, uses 2 center arms while his 2 other arms are just out here chilling. We have some little antennas that fold in and out. We have these little flaps. We have a 1x2 printed S or a snake. I don't know, but there's 2 of them, one on each side, which I think is pretty neat. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Gascano's Podracer. I really like the design of it. I like the silhouette, and the color scheme is really rad. Here is Gascano's side build. We see his colors represented via the flags. We have like this umbrella with a bunch of holes in it, and underneath there is a bunch of tools for his Pidroid to fix up his Podracer when it is damaged. And here we have the best for last. There's no doubt about it. This Podracer is sick. The engines are huge. The pod itself is really neat. And there's a bunch of really unique printed elements on here and some really unique building techniques, especially for the time of its release. So let's get into it. First of all, this Podracer will start at the pod itself, and instantly we see the chrome macaroni piece. It appeared in 11 other sets, and for some reason it managed to find its way into a Star Wars set, which I think is super cool. On both sides of the Podracers, he has some buzz saws which fold down because of the clips, which, you know, it just goes to show this Podracer is violent. It means business. There's some really cool printed pieces like these slopes on the front and back, along with these printed tiles here. He has a little windscreen that, you know, protects his face, even though it's way lower than his face. But he clips on there. He also sits in there with the 2 studs on the bottom of his feet. We have some really cool engines in orange, which I can't imagine are too common. But if we flip this thing around, we can see the other side of it. It's the exact same. It's just mirrored. And let's get into these engines. Look how just absurd these engines are. They're huge, and they do have a bit of folding to them, so they can fold down like that and then expand and go zooming around. But also on the sides, these engines are exactly the same. They're just mirrored. But these panels open up to reveal like an engine on the inside, which, you know, this could open off to like cool, which I think is pretty cool. So, but really cool printed pieces all around. There's even his little Sebulba's logo right there, which I think is pretty neat. So that folds up and down. There's these really cool flag pieces. Full focus. Love the printing on those. Very cool. Very early Star Wars. Loved it. And they fold down, and they're printing on both sides. And we also have this random just a random wheel on the back of the engine. And in this Podracer, like the other ones, we see the neon orange pieces towards the center connecting the engines, and the long tan bits keeping the pod together with the engines, which I like the consistency of that. As much as we see Sebulba is a huge jerk, but we can't deny that his Podracer is sick. I mean, it's got chainsaws on the back, it's got chainsaws on the front. It means business, and it's here to win, even though he does lose like a big old baby. But I think it's a really cool set. Just the color scheme, you know, it's got black and orange, very spooky Halloween vibes, which, you know, I love that. And when you think of Star Wars, what other ship is black and orange? I can't think of anything, can you? And here we have Sebulba's Podracer's side build, his little pit droid station with a bunch of tools, the umbrella with holes in it, the flags represent the colors, and it is basically, it's the exact same as Gascano's. Now, back in '99, this set retailed for $90, and if you're looking to pick it up today, new, you're spending at least $350 for a new copy. Used, probably closer to like $120 to $150, which isn't that bad. It's a pretty rare set, has a lot of pieces, and this was the first big Star Wars set. If you look back at it, I mean, this was it. This was the biggest set of '99's Star Wars release. And $90 back in the day, I mean, you got 3 great builds, a bunch of minifigures, some side builds. Wow, I would have loved this as a kid. I love it now, but as a kid, I would have had a lot of fun with it. The swooshability on these things is incredible. With all that being said, that's going to be it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts on the set were in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. Let's start a discussion. I think the set is awesome. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But have a great day. Thanks for watching, and take care.